Hello and welcome back to video 15. In the last video, I mostly did refactoring. So I added this graph set title attribute, which is meant to display the name of each graph set, like in a human readable way, like this here, where it has like spaces and capital letters and everything. Um, I also added this directory size graph set, which I didn't finish. And I'm probably not going to finish it in this video either, but I will eventually finish it. This is for tracking the size of a directory. Um, I need this for testing graphs that have two different traces, so I'll get to that eventually. And then also in the show graphs template, I added jQuery, which allows for this Ajax to work so that it actually displays real data as opposed to before where it just showed like dummy data. Also, I added this style block to style the graph set container, the graph container, and eventually this graph or this CSS is going to be moved to a CSS file, like a separate file. But for now, I'm just going to put it at the top so that it's all together. And I'm going to eventually add more styles to this as well. I added this back button. I added, so now on the template, this graph set variable is now, this graph set list. Before it was a list of strings that describe the name of each graph set. Now it's an actual graph set object. So we can call like dot title and dot get name, and we can call attributes on the graph set object in the template. And also, I added this get graph set from name function in the utilities folder, and this just you pass in the name of a graph set and it returns the graph set object, and it pulls it from the installed graph sets. And then in the views, that this function is imported into the views and is used here, where we get a list of the names, and then we convert that into a list of graph set objects, and then that gets passed into the template. And so in this video, I'm going to be doing more of refactoring. I'm going to remove this here because this code doesn't need to be inside of the view. I'm going to move this into the utilities. I'm going to create a new function sort of like this. It's going to be called get graph sets from names. So it's just going to take a list of names and return a list of graph set objects. So it's the same as this function. It's just it takes a list and it returns a list. And then also I'm going to rename this get name variable, or this method rather. Instead of get name, it's going to say get internal name, because I think it's kind of confusing how we have dot title and then get name, and these are kind of the same thing. Like, what's the difference between get name and title? It kind of seems the same. So the reason is this get name is kind of used internally, and so I want the variable. I want this to reflect that. So I'm going to change it to say get internal name, and then title will be obviously the title that is like human readable. So I'm just going to make this internal, get internal name, and this is internal name from args. So I'll change this one as well. And in the template, get name, and it's also in the models. Get name is here. And to test this, I'm just going to load up the page and see if it breaks. If I forgot a rename, yeah, so it's trying to call get name. So this is what I do when I rename a variable. I just browse the page and see what errors come up. So it looks like here it's happening in utils on line 17. So there's some here too. I can also go, I can go to my text editor. It has a find and replace. So I can just call it get name. And it'll show me all the instances of get name. And I can just say replace all. And it replaces it with this. Now I can try it again. And now it's working. Also, I'll just test out the make tick. That looks like it worked. Yep, looks like it worked. And so that's done. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of something. I don't like how this has tick time as a argument to this poll function. I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to give that data to the poll set or to the graph set in a different way. So when I first started doing this, I thought that we would want tick time here, but as I think about it more, I feel like the better way to do it is to pass in the entire tick object in, and it should not be passed in via an argument to the poll function. It should instead be passed in as directly as a instance attribute. So what I mean by that is up here, I'm just going to get rid of this tick time variable. So I'm getting rid of it here. Yeah, so I'm just going to pass this directly in. And then we're going to say graphset.tick equals tick. So I'm just setting it directly. So from within the graph set, if you want to know the tick time, you just do self.tick.time. And that'll give you the tick time. And also, we're going to move this back. So before it only made the tick if we were not using the test option. But now, since we're setting it to the graph set, it has to be here. So instead, what we're going to do is at the very end of the function, if test, we'll do tick.delete. So we're going to make the tick, but no matter what. We're going to make the tick no matter what, but if it's test, then we're going to delete the tick. That way, the graph set will always get a tick instance. So to test this, make sure that works, and we're going to go test, and that works as well. And I'll go to the admin interface. And this might crash, I think. Maybe. No, it doesn't. So I want to make sure that it's actually deleting the tick. So this is 8704. I'm going to do a bunch of tests. And it should still say 8704. Yes. So that way we know it's not making new ticks. And there's another thing we can do inside of this graph sets, because we have the tick as a argument. We can also do previous tick. So previous poll. So from within the poll method, you can say self.previous poll.result, and it'll give you the result of the last poll. So that might be useful for some graph sets. Actually, in the future, I'm going to make a optimized version of uptime. I'm going to call it optimized uptime. And it'll pull the previous and it will so the thing about uptime is that it always goes up, it never goes down. The only time it ever goes down is if you reboot your computer. And so we don't need a tick for every, like we don't need to store every single tick. We only need to store a tick if it changes. So like if you look at the graph for uptime, it always goes up, and it goes up in a linear fashion. So it always goes up, and it's always like a 45-degree slope. So we don't need these points here because we can kind of infer, like between here we don't have any points, but it doesn't matter because we know what it is, because it's always going to be going up at a predictable rate. So what we can do is pull the previous and then pull this, and we'll just call the previous this one. And we can say if this uptime is greater than previous uptime, then we can delete the previous. And then return this uptime. So what this is doing is it's deleting the previous tick, or well, the previous result, so that as we do ticks, we're deleting the previous one. So there's always going to be a point at the end, and it's deleting all the previous points. And so then if you restart your computer, then this will not, this uptime will be less than the previous uptime. And that'll mean that it won't delete the old one. And so this one will stay here, and then the next one will be down here. And then that one will stay. And then it will, it'll use less ticks. It'll store less in the database. And so when I make the chart, I don't have to download like a bunch of ticks, because that's kind of not view source, because we have to download these data points, and the less data points we download, the more efficient it'll be. So the less data, it'll be more. That's weird. Yeah. So the less points it has to download, the less, the quicker it'll be. So that's an optimization. But I'm just gonna kind of leave this here, and I will work on this more later. But that's gonna be it for this video. In the next video, I'm probably gonna do more refactoring. What I don't like about this now is the term graph set. I think this should be called something else. I think it should be called metric. Originally, when I was doing this, I assumed that the graphs would be generated on the back end and then sent to the front end as an image file. But then I changed my mind, and now the graphs are going to be generated on the front end in JavaScript. And so if you look at Munin, this is what Tutu is based off of. Munin, it uses graphs, that's images, like this is an image right here. And so this is the metric here is Apache accesses, and they have one graph is by day. So this x-axis is 1 day, and then if you scroll down, it does it by week, where the x-axis is by a week, and then this one's by month. It's a whole month here, and then by year, which shows multiple years. And I assume that Tutu would work the same way. You would have multiple graphs to display a certain metric, and so that's why I called it graph set, because it represents a set of graphs. But when it's generated on the front end, then it's just one graph. There's no sets of graph. So I think the term graph set doesn't really fit anymore. So I think metric would work better. So I'm going to just go ahead and just call it metric. And then in the next video, I will do more. I will continue this, changing everything to be metric. But for now, I'm just going to commit. And then push. And then that'll be the end of the video, and I'll see you next video.